Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Karate Chops, where we discuss all things martial arts. Today we're going to talk about knife defenses and are they realistic? Okay. Many martial arts schools out there do have a defense against a knife as part of their curriculum. Now, some of these are good, some of them are kind of iffy, and there are some that are downright comical. Okay. So, that begs the question, are there actual defenses against a knife or edged weapon that actually do work, that are practical to learn? Yes, there are. Now, you gotta think about that for a second. Talking about edged weapons defense. Knives, are almost the perfect weapon. They don't have to be reloaded. They never run out of ammo. They don't jam. They're quiet. They can be found anywhere. And you gotta think about that a little bit more. Anything that can be used as a weapon like that, a piece of glass, a razor blade, a screwdriver. That can puncture. That you can use it very much like a knife. And unlike a gun, they're way more dangerous than a firearm. For a firearm and stuff, you get that off target just a little bit, and the bullet ain't going to be able to hit you. A knife, all it has to do to inflict injury is to touch you. That's something that's kind of scary to think about. Now, talk about defenses though. Okay, what can you do to defend against a knife attack? Okay, first off, best defense is to avoid it. Run away. Get out of there. Okay, that's the best possible thing you can do. Don't go looking for trouble. That's another one. If somebody does have them pull a knife, do everything you can to avoid having to deal with them. Put distance between you and them. That's the best thing. Now, let's say you're at that point where you can't get away. You're backed into a corner in a dark alley somewhere. Okay, you shouldn't be in the alley in the first place. But let's just say, for argument's sake, you're in a position where you're going to have to, defend yourself against a knife. I guess you got to make that decision. Do you want to stand there and get stabbed, or are you at least going to fight back and go down swinging, as they say? So that's where it comes down to the training. Unfortunately, most of the disarms that I see that are very common in martial arts training, again, regardless of style, they're based upon the fact that the attacker is going to be standing there with a knife, and in like a classic, Hollywood, like West Side Story pose, they're going to be standing there brandishing the knife. That's all they're going to do. They're just going to stand there and hold the knife. That's not realistic at all. Somebody that's skilled with a knife is not going to brandish it, for one. And somebody that is actually going to use a knife in an assault likely may not be mentally stable. They're not going to care if they get hurt in the process. They're not going to care, about your life or hurting you. I mean, if they did, they wouldn't be coming at you with a knife. So a lot of it is the mentality of thinking about the training that way. Another thing, I've seen this numerous times teaching defensive tactics and stuff, and in martial arts and stuff, various schools I've trained in and stuff, almost all of them use the rubber duckies, which is like a rubber knife, a yellow knife, blue knife, red knife, or wood knives, things like that, or plastic and stuff, for safety. And I totally get that. Liability reasons, I get that. My thought process on that, though, changed quite a bit thanks to one of my instructors, Mr. James King. He had been in the military. He was a ranger. Then got into special forces. Everybody calls it Green Berets and stuff. But then he got to go and train in Russia for many years. And with all of his experience and stuff, he firmly believed in the fact that you fight as you train as you fight. So he was trained is how he trained us. So when we got to that point of our training and stuff, when we got into doing weapons defenses, we trained with actual weapons. So when we trained with knife defenses, we used actual knives. Yes, these are real knives. So when I started training and stuff, I incorporated that same philosophy into our training. You can go get these at, say, a dollar store, something like that, yard sale, rummage sale, whatever. Sometimes you find these things for $1/4. You know, sometimes you find a whole bunch for you know, even less. But you know, I wanted the big ones and stuff. Reason being, bought them, came home, put them on the bench grinder, ground off the sharp edge, and then also rounded the points off on them. And I got a whole bag here that of tons of different knives stuff, and I maybe spent a couple dollars on. So it's good for training. And it basically comes down to 100% mental. You know, you still do the same moves with a rubber knife, a wood knife, whatever. But when somebody pulls out a real knife, you know, and has it there, and now you're going to have to defend against that, you know, your focus and everything changes 100%. It has now become real. You train your mind. If you practice all the time with rubber knives and stuff like that, you get into an actual situation where you do encounter somebody that has a knife and stuff, there will be that hesitation. Your brain's going to be fighting you, being like, wait a second, you know, this is real, this isn't training, you know, you're going to start questioning yourself. And in situations like that, you do not have time to question yourself. You have to be able to rely upon your training. So you need to be able to, you know, train as you fight, because you're going to fight as you train. So, you know, with the training like that and stuff, it is realistic. It can be realistic, I should say. It comes down to understanding the mentality of that, what goes in the situations and stuff. And like I said, you know, best defense against a knife is to avoid it as much as possible. There are situations, though, law enforcement, military, correctional officers, people in certain situations like that, security, where because of your profession and your duties and stuff, you may have to encounter somebody that has a knife or another edged weapon. And you can't simply just leave. So knowing how to handle that stuff, it's better to have some defense than no defense. You know, you're talking about edged weapons and stuff, you know, they can be found anywhere. They can be made out of almost anything. You know, talk to anybody that's worked corrections and stuff. There's not too many guns in prison, but there's tons and tons of cutting instruments, knives and shivs and shanks, and, you know, made out of all sorts of items. Anything can be used, you know, as a tool to cut or stab or penetrate somebody with. So you got to be very careful on that. So just kind of think about that. I'd love to hear your guys' comments in that. What sort of knife defenses do you have at your school, your training? What have you been taught? Do you think it's realistic what you've been taught? I'd love to hear your guys' comments down in the comment section. Drop us a line, let us know what you think about that. And as always, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more upcoming videos, and like our Facebook page. And be sure to keep those questions coming, and we'll do our best to get them answered for you. Thank you very much.